Hello, I am Zinfogel. So, there is a new egg event. The only new Eggmon family here is the Parasect line. But I also want to take this opportunity to talk about the Scyther family. I actually haven't covered these guys before. I started making videos a little after their introduction, and back then I had a lapse of judgment and made the mistake of investing into a striker Pinsir instead, but now I know better. Anyway, as per usual, I will briefly summarize the repeats so you have a general understanding of what they do. The Primeape family is fine, but generally outclassed. Striker Primeape is a carbon copy of Bruno. Bruno buffs crit faster, he has innate critical strike too, and his sync is significantly stronger, but Primeape has much better gauge management by virtue of speed buffs and a higher speed stat. However, both of them are outclassed by Corina. Close combat is stronger than cross chop, and this move is inaccurate, which requires babysitting anyway. Support Primeape is competent and perhaps worth the investment. This is a crit support. It gives plus 2 crit, plus 2 attack, and plus 2 speed. Primeape's distinguishing niche is a slow 1-bar spam backed up by regeneration upon entry. Event Boxy and Hop are also crit supports with 1-bar spam, but depending on the circumstances, I would prefer using this over Maylin or Torchic. For example, in the 4-bar move gauge in Master Mode. 1-bar spam with speed buffs is much friendlier for gauge management. Tech Primeape has Rock Smash with Honor Roll 1, which guarantees defense debuffs. This is an Eggmon I have used extensively because, as you'll know, I love debuffing. These days, there are better sources of defense debuffs because Leer is a lot more widespread, but Primeape has the advantage of activating fighting type skills. It can give an attack bonus to other fighting types, but do note this guy is straight outclassed by Cobalion. Cobalion also has Rock Smash with innate Honor Roll 1, and it provides buffing perks plus its fighting master passive. And you can also replicate this function with Maylin or Broly, although they don't guarantee a defense debuff. I forgot to record the Machamp family. That's how little they matter. If I had to describe the Machamp line in one word, it would be tragic. Striker Machamp is decent, but it's directly outclassed by Corina. Corina has her grid perks to match Striker Machamp's buffing pace, and she has like over 100 more attack when Mega Evolved, so there is no real point to this segment. Support Machamp is arguably the worst Eggmon in the game, and it gave it its infamy. So this guy has plus 2 attack and plus 2 speed, which is covered by any remotely competent attack support. I just cannot see the forest for the trees. You have X attack to beef up Karate Chop, okay? And then you have Focus Blast, but the kid does a squad to support it. It's like, what's the point, dude? And lastly, we have Tech Machamp, which is not nearly as sad, but it's just not very good either. This thing's gimmick is low sweep, so it plays for single targeted speed drops. And we already have Brocanonix to cover that, who has a much better tanking kit. But Tech Machamp has a perk in that it activates fighting type skills, so you can use it as a partner for Cakewalk Wally. But the problem is that Low Sweep is very slow ramping, and Cakewalk Wally isn't a very good application to begin with. I have played Tech Machamp in this fashion, and I wasn't impressed by the results. You can get more done with other speed debuffers like Elio, Valentine Serena, or Clement. Okay, let's kick this off with Striker Scyther. This guy feels like the holy grail of Eggmons. Sorry for sounding dramatic, but if you have had the tiniest bit of curiosity on the Eggmon system, you have probably heard this one is good. And the reason is that it has Bug Boss with innate critical strike 3. Okay, this is all you need. This is far better than whatever garbage Nolan and Boxy are up to these days. Here we have a random Eggmon that gave competition to the best bug-type strikers of its era. Back when the Scyther line was released, we have Gosma and Borg. Comparatively speaking, Scyther is easier to use. It has better DPS than Gosma, and its setup isn't nearly as complicated as Borg is. But these days, we have better bug-type strikers. So let's talk about Scyther's issues. You might notice it's labeled as a physical striker, despite the fact I was glorifying Bug Boss earlier. Scyther suffers from incongruency issues. It buffs +4 attack, +2 crit, and +4 speed. It has a physical sync move, but its physical DPS is Slash. This move becomes a bug type because of bug shift, but it's pitifully weak. Bug Boss nearly doubles the output, so Scyther is sort of like Giovanni, where you have crit buffs but require full special attack support. This changes Scyther's playstyle. Because it buffs crit, it means that you have a more ample repertoire of supports to pick from. Say you can pair it with Rosa, Roxanne, or Sycamore, or the more advanced gacha supports like Lily, Elio, or Signa But you know who is also a bug type striker who kinda wants special attack support? Lusamine. And Lusamine is a lot stronger than Scyther if you set her up for Power Reserves 5. Let's not even talk about her 6-star EX perks. And there is also Alder, who as a freshly scouted 1-5 unit is already outperforming Striker Scyther. Nonetheless, this is right now the best free-to-play bug-type striker, and I would be doing Scyther a disservice if I neglected to mention that. It's solid. Like, if you're struggling with bug-type stages, maybe investing in this guy would be a decent idea. Support Scyther is the OG speed buffing Eggmon. It offers +6 speed and +2 attack. You might think this is outclassed by Skyla, but there is more to this buffing kit than meets the eye. First off, it's maximizing speed without resorting to a move point refresh, unlike Skyla, or Hilbert, or Rachel. We are entering Masker Royalist territory here, but the key perk is that we are buffing attack at the same time. So, support Scyther is the perfect complement to physical inertia strikers. Strikers like Celine, Sinasud Grimsley, or Elessa, who buff +4 attack and have a means of reliably nuking. And support Scyther here is covering every other stat they want to enable their inertia. So that is the primary perk for this Eggmon. It's just a legitimately good complement for 6-star EX inertia clears in Champion Stadium. Now, this Eggmon is a step above other speed buffing Eggmons because it has endurance, which means it can guarantee its survival if it has to tank. But there is another Eggmon who unfortunately also covers this function, which is Support Arbok. Exact same buffing kit, but it has Poison Sting for a 1-bar spam, 30% chance of poisoning, so it can contribute with Poison Recoil, and it has better passives, Terrify 1 for attack debuffs, Natural Remedy to deter status. So if you have to pick between one or the other, I recommend Support Arbok, but Scyther has its perks. It activates bug-type skills, it has Fury Coder, which can be really strong when given crit support, and Scyther is really cool, so hey. Tech Scyther has a less impressive resume. This is a struggle bug user. It's a potent crowd control tool that guarantees special attack debuffs on every opponent. So this is really good to mitigate special damage. The problem is that there is already a story bug-type sync pair who exists for this purpose, and that is Viola. Viola is a 4-star sync pair, so she performs better from the get-go and with less investment, and she's an excellent tank. Her trainer move raises special defense and grants regeneration, so she derives benefits from spamming Struggle Bug because she handles special damage really well, and Tech Scyther is more of a sidelines disruptor. Viola also has her grid at her disposal, so she has MGRs and First Aid 4, and she also has Infestation to enable Trap, and then therefore Fall Fighting team compositions, so Tech Scyther has no hope to compete in that regard. However, it does have Fury Coder with Power Reserves too, but good luck setting that up when you want to spam Struggle Bug to debuff enemies to -6 special attack first before using Fury Coder, and Viola is a competent bug-type striker with stationary target 10, so I don't know, dude. I don't see the point in this one. And for the actual new Eggmons, we have the Parasect family. And as an appetizer, we already have a little disaster here. Striker Parasect is only working with 2-bar moves, and this alone kills its viability. But then we only have +4 attack, +2 defense, and a special defense with regeneration. It plays for sustain, but it requires crit support, so you need that babysitting. Then we have a Lithe, so at least you don't have to worry about how is Raichu paralyzing you in Champion Stadium. But then we have a 10% multiplier with Victory Lap. So Victory Lap applies Sure Crit when you score a KO. And this is meant to be played off Fell Stinger, which also has a KO side effect. When you KO somebody, you gain +3 attack. But Fell Stinger is so pitifully weak that you may as well never see this happen, even with a fully invested Striker Parasect. And the worst part is that this Eggmon is outclassed by Boxy and Beedrill. Boxy and Beedrill also has a Fell Stinger, and they require a similar array of support. Boxy really wants crit and attack because you are not performing a denial with Fell Stinger, and he also has innate critical strike too and a significantly higher attack stat. And even with that, Beedrill is not an easy striker to work with. Like, Boxy and Scyther is a better striker than Beedrill, so yeah, I don't see a way to salvage this. Now, this one is interesting. Here we have Support Parasect. This thing is buffing kid is not doing it any favors. It buffs +4 attack, +2 defense, and +2 speed. This is not a bad buffing kit because any physical striker appreciates a faster buffing setup. But there are so many sync pairs who already cover this buffing kit. For example, support Angela. Exact same buffs, but it has Reflect, so it has better utility. And then there is actual good sync pairs like BP Surge and Hope, who give you far beefier buffs and also encompass what support Parasect covers. The interesting part here are the moves. You have a Fury Coder, so a very potent 1-bar spam when given crit support, but you also have Leech Life. So this is a support Eggmon who can unironically tank because it has infinite sustain. When you provide Parasect with the correct support, gauges, defense, crit, then this is essentially an unkillable menace in bug weak stages because it just keeps regaining health every time it clicks Leech Life. And what I like about the support Parasect is that it sustains its draining. You can buff attack to help Leech Life become stronger, and you also get a little bit of defenses. So this kid reminds me a lot of Lana Aranaquarid. Like, she basically does the same thing. She buffs attack and defense and sustains herself with Leech Life. But in order for her draining to truly excel, she needs more support. And it's the same principle in support Parasect, although it's a lot weaker than Lana. But case in point, it can be viable specifically because it has innate life. So bug weak stages in Champion Stadium are notorious for their paralysis spam. Grimsley has Thunder Wave and how traumatize everybody with Discharge. So this guy here can be a legit counter to that sort of stage because it's immune to paralysis. But you really need some heavy investment for this to work. We are talking 4 stars at a minimum, and preferably 5-5 just to beef up Leech Life. But if you want to see this in action, then don't worry. I will actually invest in one of these because I am really curious about how this will work. I love playing draining tanks, and this guy has just the right amount of perks to make it function. Lastly, we have Tech Parasect. This is a Screech Eggmon, and you would think I would be frothing in the mouth at the thought of having another debuff source, but we have so many sources of defense debuffs these days that you can nitpick at what you prefer. Like, I think that Leer is a much better debuffing move than Screech, because it's a spread, it only costs 1 bar, and you can get more debuffs in a shorter span of time than Screech. Screech is decent for really focused debuffing when you want to drop something in his defense immediately, but I prefer Leer. And then there is also sources of defense debuffs that can deal damage at the same time, like Champion Iris, Custom Dianta, Masker Royal, basically anything with Defense Crush 2. And well, I just don't like Screech that much. So what I will be looking at instead would be Parasect is type skill activation. This is a bug type, so you can pair it with Gosma, okay, and Noland, and Lunch Lusamine, but then you will miss out on her sync. You see, there aren't too many physical bug type strikers in this game, and Boxy and Scyther already cover this niche because they have Leer. So what Parasect brings to the table is a Stun Spore with a pinpoint entry 1, so it's perfectly accurate against targets with neutral evasion. So you could use this to support physical paralysis synergy users, But out of those, only Bonner and Elesa exist, and they appreciate electric terrain more. Well, Bonner provides that himself, but I don't think that Parasect is doing that much in the lineup when Bonner can spread paralysis reliably. Case in point, this would be more helpful on legendary arenas like Tornadus, where you want to apply paralysis constantly. And having defense debuffs plus paralysis is a unique niche. It's just not very helpful in current metagame. And we are done. Go get your striker Scyther, and support Primeape can also be pretty good, but everything else is sketchy. Support Scyther is also decent if you missed out on support Arbok, though otherwise I consider Arbok a superior speed buff in Eggmon. Well, that's it for this video. Thank you for watching, take care, and I hope to see you another time.